Welcome back, and we are actually getting substituted for Adriana from our guest to our co-host
Vivek.
Vivek, and also Octo and Rito. I forgot to let them know about it. So our hot topic for today is that I think everybody knows Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, and I think they have two children. I believe it's like they decided that they're 124 million right now. That's their estimated
Correct.
net worth
Yeah.
is that they're all going to leave all their money to charities instead of leaving it to their children because they believe that like money creates nepotism. And nepotism has been kind of like this buzzword that's been happening for months now, because there's like a lot of articles of like models children or like actors children, like people in the Hollywood industry and the modeling industry, kind of like getting the opportunity because they are children of certain celebrities and models and that stuff. And I think there have been pros and cons, and there have been naysayers and also, believers
Yeah.
that, they, because I think I believe that it was, maybe it wasn't Tom Hanks, but one of the celebrities said that like if their family was a carpenter, right, and they passed it on to their children,
I was gonna say. I was gonna say. Yeah.
why is it that it's okay? But then, because like I guess like it makes sense for those children in the industry to be drawn to that because that's what they're grown up to and that's what they're used to. So what do you guys think?
Same thing for business, right? I mean, there are family businesses. The father runs a business, and then they train their kids to run the same business. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, I think it's okay.
Well, we all have the choice of when we're going to bring our child into the world, right? And as a celebrity, you put in the time, you put in the work, you put on the effort, you've gotten your name out there, and in order for you to pass on like your name, your money, you want to create a generational wealth, right?
Right.
And when you decide to donate it to charities, which there are a lot of corrupted charities, and there's a lot of really good charities that do a lot of good with the money, but in the end, you still want to keep that generational wealth going. And then I do feel like that kind of stops that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that there's the other side also, but right?
Yeah.
As a parent, I want I have a 10-year-old son, right? So I want him to experience the world and be his own person,
Yeah.
make his own choices about his career. Sure, the money that I pass on to him will help him.
It will give him a
But
leg up, definitely.
It'll give
yeah.
him a leg up,
Yeah.
yeah, sure. I mean, that's okay. But not at the cost of the values that that are being instilled in him as he's growing up.
Yeah.
So this whole thing about money corrupts or money is like is a bias. I think it's like saying I'm wearing a sweater. Okay, the sweater is nice when it's cold, and if I'm feeling hot, it's not useful. But the sweater is the same sweater.
Yeah.
The same with money. It's so how you use it, what the values you give to your kids is much more important than any amount of money you left people.
But the how you've earned it, right? You've worked hard, you put the time in, you've gotten your name out, you put all that time and effort and everything into that.
Yeah.
And you've instilled those values into your kids. Wouldn't you want to see where your money's going to go to in that future?
So, here's my take. Okay. Once you're gone, does it really matter?
Yeah.
Right? You're gone. You have no say over it.
But I think that's what it is. It's like I think a lot of people already argue that like that's the problem. It's just like the parents or like the grandparents, right, that like started the industry is like they made their name, and the problem is like it becomes like like a brand name, right? A
Right.
Coke is a Coke. I mean, are there any other sodas out there in the store? But like, let's just be honest. When we go to a restaurant, when we go to the
Yeah.
supermarket, we get a Coke. We don't.
It's either Coke or Pepsi, right?
Yeah,
There's-
right.
yeah,
We
it's
don't
like-
buy like the I don't know like Cola. You know what I mean? Whatever like that thing is, right? And that's what they're trying to say. It's just that is it really fair that like at the end of the day like their children actually never had to work, like they're actually like building on their family's legacy, like like they don't even get to auditions, like they just get that opportunity because they have that name and they have that connection. And for the people that don't have that name and connection, there's this feeling of like unfairness.
But it's like if you don't have the talent, you're not going to last. Okay, even if maybe you got like 5 opportunities. In the case of celebrities, the ultimate decider is the public.
So you do feel like it's definitely
It's going to work out, right? I mean,
it's a
okay,
good
if they're
talent.
good, okay, good for them, good for the public. If they're not good, okay, maybe they get 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever, 10 auditions, and then they'll flop. People won't remember them. Right? I mean, it's the same with businesses, right? There's this saying, right, that family businesses, it's like by the third or the fourth generation, it starts to wind down because, people are not putting in that effort. But the same here also. Okay.
So it's really it's like do you feel like but also like as a parent like especially with us right we're minorities
Yeah.
so it's also like a different ball game
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
like I know for a fact that like if I do come like if before my passing like if I do come up with a fairly good amount of money and I do become a millionaire that I do want to make sure that my children will be comfortable enough because there is a saying that like money doesn't buy happiness
Definitely
but-
helps.
yeah, yeah. Like money doesn't buy happiness, but it helps lessen the obstacles, right? Because like there is a thing of like let's just say that like if I don't have a job, but my parents still supporting me, but I decided to not be a doctor, right? And I decided, well, I want to be an artist,
Yeah.
right? I want to be like an indie director.
Yeah.
So I have that opportunity to actually pursue something because
Sure.
now financial is not like an obstacle
not an
for me,
obstacle,
right?
yeah.
So I think for me, it's just that I want to create an environment for my children to actually pander to their interests
Yeah.
in a way, right?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not.
yeah.
I mean, am I going to be happy if they decided to be a doctor or an engineer or a nurse? Of course, a Filipino. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I'm not going to say no. How dare you be a doctor?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Or a lawyer. Like
Yeah.
what is this? You know, like
Yeah.
of course there's going to be professions that are like you're always going to be
It's-
proud, right?
Exactly. Well,
So-
yeah, it comes back to like the morals and your values too,
Yeah.
of what you instill in your kids.
Exactly.
So for me, I haven't hit parenthood yet, but when I do, it's still like your kid is always going to have that soft spot. And you're going to always want to do everything and anything for them to have a bright future. And then in order for them to pass it on to your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, and money helps. Money helps create that pathway for them to pass it on and that generational wealth. Like,
Sure. I think so. There's a couple of things I want to say here also. Much more than the money, I think if we can pass on financial education to kids, like we talked about this in a previous episode,
Yeah.
like knowing how to handle money.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter whether you have $10,000 or $10 million. If you don't know how to handle it, you lose it. Right?
Yeah.
So that is much more. That education
Because
is much
that's
more
what
important.
happens with like all like the young child actors, right?
Yeah.
Look
Yeah.
at like
True.
Macaulay Culkin and also like really bad parenting because his parents pretty much like stole his money. But like because like I mean 11 and 12-year-olds should not be making decisions about money in a way because like I mean when I was 11 and 12 where do I want to spend all my money? You know what I mean? Like this. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like it's just like at 11 and 12 though I think it's like maybe I should invest in this stuff. No 11 and 12
They
year olds
do
are
know.
thinking
They should know.
you know
Yes.
so and I think like it is like I think it is also interesting to be privileged enough that because I think Anderson Cooper also comes from money right and then he said that like his mother didn't leave them any money and he knew about it because his mother always told him that like I'm
You
not
have
going to
to be-
leave you
yeah.
any inheritance
Yeah.
right but also like there's also money and opportunity for them with a name
Sure.
right
Yes.
so it's not like
For
it's
sure.
not like it's
For
not
sure.
like it's not like they're like well I'm not going to give you money but then that's it it's cut off it's done like there are certain connections
Yeah.
and your names
Exactly.
do
Exactly.
create certain opportunities
Yeah.
even if like you don't necessarily it doesn't necessarily mean like money but opportunity also
Opportunity.
creates
Yes.
money eventually.
I was going to give you an example. Just like when I was waiting outside before we started filming, one of my friends sent a message that his teenage daughter has started a podcast, right? So I said, and he's my friend. We went to college together, right? And I was telling him, if she wants, I can connect her with other teenagers around the country or people who are working with teenagers and she could do like a show with them together. So that's again like opportunity, right? Because I am friends with this guy, so that's why those connections come. It's the same with these people as well. Because your parents have certain connections, that's why it opens certain doors for you compared to somebody who doesn't have those connections. So I think that's just the nature of the world. It doesn't matter celebrity or not. It's like-
Well, but with money, I feel like since you have to like rely so much on money, it takes the passion out of it. So say if your kids want to pursue like acting, music, and dance, or be an artist, those kids, it's like you have to work like crazy hours, it takes the full passion out of what they want to do. And that's what I do believe in too. I want them to pursue their dreams and be able to try different things. So I do think like with celebrities, I do feel like they should, like being in a place where they're pursuing their dreams, you would want that for your kids as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the other thing also is, look, if my parents were celebrities, and I don't want to be a celebrity, do I have that choice or not? That's another question to ask, right?
I think
Like we're talking about choice. So
I think right now a lot more, because like even like with Gwyneth Paltrow, like she like her daughter at a certain age told her that like I don't want you posting me on social media.
Yeah.
I think she was like around like 9 or 10 or something. And then Gwyneth was like, "Well, you're my kid. I want to post you," but like her daughter was just like, "No, like this
Yeah.
is my privacy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like I don't want to be put out there." So like when I do, there are certain celebrity kids. I mean, I think it's half and half. So like there are celebrity kids that I see now doing like red carpets with their parents because they're actually adults that they're like 18 and
Yeah.
over, and then I see them, they're like, "Oh, that's what their kids look like." And I don't know what her kids look like. I mean, I probably saw like a picture or a video maybe that like her daughter allowed her to like, but there are certain celebrities where like, I think Mindy Kaling. Mindy Kaling,
Mindy Kaling, yeah,
she
yeah.
doesn't post like, she does post pictures of her children, but like their face is like either like blurred or like posted with stickers, so like you don't really see what they
Yeah,
look like.
yeah, yeah.
So like she posts pictures with her children, but also not like in
So
a
it's
way.
like,
So
yeah.
there's like a boundary.
Yeah.
So like I don't know what Mindy Kaling's kids look like. So I mean, the thing also is like you can only hide so much, but like you have paparazzis.
Yeah, there's that
Right?
too. There's that too. Yeah,
You
that's
know what I
like
mean?
yeah,
Because
it's a
like you
weird
can
thing, yeah.
hide, like as a celebrity, you can hide even if you don't put them in social media, but you still have to go out. And because you're a celebrity, even though you're going to Starbucks, it's still exciting. Because you're like, it's like it's a celebrity in Starbucks. You know what I mean? We gotta think. And I do think like I know there's certain countries where like they don't allow minor. So like if paparazzi, I don't know if it's France, but like I know there's different
There are
countries
laws like that,
where
yeah.
like they had laws already where like if you're a paparazzi, you cannot take minor pictures like children like at a
That's
certain
good.
age. And like I think there were a couple of celebrities that were like trying to like advocate that because it makes sense because like you will
Yeah.
never really have complete privacy because like when you go on vacation, there's paparazzis hiding on
Definitely,
trees, on rocks. And like, you know what I mean? Yeah, they're just like, hi, you know what I mean? With their like, when people get married, like I know like Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck, like they were
Yeah.
like people that were like in helicopters with
I
their
heard about that.
telescopic cameras. Because like they didn't want to put in
Yeah,
like their
yeah.
pictures, so like they would like hovering around or like having their drones take
Yeah.
pictures of like the location. And like you see like little dots, and it's like we think this is the celebrity, and we think this is the celebrity, but they don't really know till like it actually comes out.
So one thing about this whole, we talk about nepotism, but the same thing is true in politics as well. Right? I mean, if
Yeah.
you look at politics,
Yeah.
it's the same
Families,
story.
yeah.
Families are,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
it's like, so what do you do with it? I mean, how do you explain it?
I mean, there are such things that like you can pass on, and if you do like live, like when you're living that life, when you see your parents, and then of course like I mean they have nannies and all that stuff, right? But you can't like not bring your
You
kids
can't get
at
out
all.
of it. You can't get out of
Yeah,
it. Right?
if
As
it-
a child,
Yeah.
you can't
Yeah.
get out. It's all around you.
Like eventually like also like your children are growing, and then they get interested in like not necessarily their movies or TVs, but the people that they work with, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
they're surrounded by it, so there's no choice for them but to be interested in what's happening around them.
And they
Like,
also
that's their world.
And they also hang out with each other.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, who do celebrities hang out with each other? Because like they don't want to like if I'm a celebrity and you're a celebrity, I'm not gonna put our pictures online if you don't put your pictures online.
Right.
There's always
Yeah.
that kind of
like
trust in a
trust,
way
yeah, yeah.
because you're in that world.
Yeah.
Like there's also like a part of like you're not gonna betray me because like we're in this circle. It's a small circle.
Yes.
That kind of thing, right? So I think like this topic is definitely like interesting because it's not just like about money or culture. I think there's definitely like a lot of layers to it, and like
Correct.
let's just face it. People that just say like, "Oh, I don't care about celebrities," I'm like, lies. There's like at least 2% of your life that like focus on celebrities. I know it for a fact. Like you cannot. There's no way. Like as long as you have a phone. Yeah, as long as you have a phone, you don't even have to have a TV or a tablet or anything. As long as you have a phone, I know for a fact there's like
There's some-
2% of your life is at least
Exactly.
done into celebrities. So
Yes.
I think like it is definitely I think interesting and it's like now that I'm like I'm a first time new parent, it's also like interesting to me because I even told my husband I'm like when I become a millionaire, all my kids are like gonna be racking it.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna buy like a big land and they're gonna have little tiny houses. You know they can live off my land. You know they don't have to move out.
Yeah.
Like I mean they're technically moving out from the big house to like a tiny house. But
That's
like,
close enough.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm telling you, so my son is a little older than, things change as kids age, okay?
They do. Because people always say it's just like, oh, they're so much better when there was this age. And I'm like, no, I have nephews. I work in daycare. There's no such thing. They're difficult. It's just a different difficulty in different stages. You know, it just like gets transferred to like another difficulty.
Yeah.
Because they become from babies to like toddlers to like, and then started cussing at you and then start not liking you and then start liking you again. And then
It's,
it's just those things.
I mean, you don't have to have kids. You can just look back at your own life with your relationship with your parents,
Yeah.
and how it changed over the years. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
never
I can
know.
tell though, like when she finally becomes the mama, it's gonna be spoiled right out the gate, like matching outfits and everything.
I'm not as bad. My husband is definitely going to spoil
Yeah.
my daughter.
we'll
Like,
see.
I can
you,
tell
you'll
already.
both spoil your daughter in different ways. That's
Yeah,
it.
we do. We do. I think
You'll
I
do
think
your
we do.
thing, and you'll say he's spoiling her,
Yeah.
and
And then my
he'll do
husband
his
will
thing,
do
and
his
then
thing.
yes. That's how it is.
That's what I told him. It's just like, you decide to like go against me is on. Like, you two are in trouble.
Exactly. And that's why I find it so crazy, like how Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis like came to the decision that they're like, you know what, we're not gonna pass this on. Like I find that crazy. Like for me, yes, when I have a husband, I will come back to the very end for my child.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because they both didn't come from family money.
Yeah.
Mila Kunis
That's
came from
true.
Russia. I think like one of like Russian like those one of those countries, and then she said that like when she was starting doing acting jobs, like her mom literally like paid like the last $100 that she had in her account because like she felt like that was the thing
Yeah.
that will like Mila Kunis really wanted. And I think Ashton Kutcher also didn't have like family connections with Hollywood. So I think like they both decided that like we didn't have connection, we made it so like our kids could like I mean I don't doubt there's like a lot of different things that happening there too. But yeah.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna segue to our favorite segue because we all like drama, but we don't want it in our lives. So
we
we
like
try.
other people's drama.
We
Yes,
love
it's
other
true.
people's drama.
True.
So so the topic today is a woman tells cashier that one girl was shopping with her father's credit card, leaving her fuming with rage. So you kind of know what is up with the story. So throwaway because husband told me I was the a-hole and want to know before I got home and argue. On the phone format is bad. I was in a higher end department store today. Rhymes with looming tales. We all know what that is, right? And happened to end up next to two teenage girls while shopping. One of the girls had picked out a pair of very expensive boots and they were both fawning over them. Second girl must have looked at price tag and asked Boots girl if she's really gonna spend that much on boots. Girl with boots said something along the lines of, "It's fine, I have my dad's credit card, I'm not paying." Which is instantly caught my attention because that's not her card. I told my son multiple times he's never allowed to use my credit card, so I'm interested to see how this girl thinks she's going to get away with fraud, but had split up from the girls at this point because they had found something else. So we end up at the same register, me behind, and I see her the total hit well over 4 digits.
Wow.
The girl is about to swipe her card when I decide that I can't let her get away with something like this, and someone has to parent this kid if no one else will. I tell cashier that it isn't her card, but her father's, and I'm not sure she has permission. Girl and friend turn and glare at me, giving possibly the dirtiest look I've ever seen. I swear this girl was going to throw a tantrum right there. I don't think she was ever told no. Girl tells cashier her father gave her the card to shop with because it's the store's credit card and it gives him the points. Now that I pointed out it wasn't hers, cashier tells her she can't use the card. Girl tries to show ID to prove they have the same last name. Yeah, that will help. And I tell her it's still fraud. Girl says it's not fraud because she asked permission and tells me to mind my own business. I tell her that it is my business that she's doing something illegal. She needs to pay with her own card or I call the cops. Girl is pissed now and people are glaring at me. She uses her own card and leaves crying. Cashier looks mad at me and I tell my husband when I get home, only for him to agree I was in the wrong. Am I the a-hole?
It's tricky.
It is
I think
very
it's tricky.
Would you allow your kids to use your credit card?
Well, actually, this has happened. We were in Houston, and we wanted to go out. Like with my niece, we wanted to go out and I think we were doing bowling or something like that, or Top Golf, I think. And so my son booked it from my phone, and they already charged because there's like a reservation fee and whatnot. But actually, for me, that was a learning moment because for both of us, we sat down. Instead of getting upset at him, I could, it was a teaching moment. Like I could teach him, okay, how to be careful with money, how to ask permission. So there's opportunity there. But if the same thing happened to somebody else's child, I mean, I don't think I have the right to parent that child. I mean, so that's where I draw the line.
So that's the question. It's like, what if your son went to the store and bought a 4-digit boots?
Well,
And then you look at your credit card and you're like,
we have to have a conversation after that. You will need to go and return that stuff. Yes.
so
And that's when the tables will turn. I'll be like, he just became the a-hole just for that one moment. Because how do I argue that when it comes to like, as far as getting a refund or a credit card, like a transaction, like how do I argue that? Because in a sense, he still used it.
That's fine. I mean, so I think it depends on the situation. Right? So if my son does end up using it where it's not with my permission, then we have to figure out an agreement where he can pay it back to me. Right? I mean, there are ways around it. But back to this story, I would not feel comfortable parenting somebody else's child because I think it's their prerogative. Right?
yeah.
If it were an adult, we could have an adult conversation, but I don't know. That's how I look at it.
I think it's definitely tricky because like I had this conversation with my husband because we don't have a joint account. It's just our accounts are connected together. So like if something happens to either of us, like we can take our money out together.
Okay.
So like and I also have like business cards. So like I allow certain people have access to it because like sometimes I
And
can't.
you can set limits on.
You can set limits. So I told him it's just like, especially now with like who brings cash anymore. That's why like people are like, so like, but like it's one of those things where like when I know for a fact that like when I have kids, I'm probably gonna have them, I'm gonna have to teach them how to like, I think it's easier to give them credit cards than debit cards because credit cards have limits. Debit cards do not. It's just
It's
like
the other way around. Debit, you can only take you can create secured cards. So then they have a limit to how much they can spend.
I think maybe
You
it's
can do
both now.
secure,
Maybe it's both now. Because like
You
with
can do
credit
it
cards,
either.
like you can only like limit like a certain amount. So if I decided to just be like, oh, I can add this person, but they have a limit of 200.
Correct, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it. But like
Yeah,
with
yeah.
debit card, as long as
Debit, you
you
have to do additional
maybe.
steps to do that.
yeah. So it's just like it's one of those things where like it's also like we do use a good amount of credit cards to specific things because we do use them for points and stuff. So like I do think that like I am definitely gonna allow my children the use of my credit card,
Yeah.
but like for emergency or maybe like like if they go to the movies, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
like give them. I think it's also like money. Some parts of cash is dangerous because people can take it from you.
True.
People can bully you to give it to them. I mean, if you give them your card, what are they gonna do with it? They don't know the pin.
Okay.
Or like if you call your mom, be like, well, somebody took my card or I lost it. What do? You call your credit
call
card,
the
like
credit
close
card.
it.
There's, yeah,
And you can
protection
refute
built
it.
in.
And also I think that's why I like credit cards is like you can refute it. The problem
Correct.
with I think the problems with debit card is like yes you can refute it, but the money
The
is
money is
already
already
out.
gone.
Yeah.
And then now you gotta wait like 15 days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like with
Yeah.
my credit cards, I like because I do use it a pretty good amount. That like when I do call my bank, it's just like, oh, these 3 purchases is definitely not mine. I am not in Arkansas when I live in Albuquerque, obviously in a Walmart.
Yeah.
I don't even go to Walmart. you know, and they're just like, oh, you know, we'll fix that for you.
Yeah.
But with the debit card, that money is
It's
gone. I
already
mean,
gone.
it's not
Correct.
that. I mean, I'm not saying that you can't get it back, but the fact is like it's already
It's more
taken
painful.
out.
It's
Yeah.
more painful. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
I think it goes back to what we were talking about in the previous segment. It's not money. It's teaching people about money. Teaching your kids about money is much more important.
I
With
think
the
like
values that you raise the kids with.
yeah. So like one time that I was like visiting my nephews, I think like they definitely like learn a really good lesson because like they were talking about like, you know, because my sister and her husband pays for everything for my nephews. You know, when they go have sleepovers, when they go to Waffle House, they pay for their kids and the kids that
And
are
the kids,
staying
yeah,
over.
yeah.
Yeah, so like, and then like I remember my nephew was just like wanting something, and I told him, he's like, well, do you know that like the earrings that you're wearing now, like that would take me like 3 hours to make that.
Wow.
And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I have to work 3 hours to buy
buy-
your earrings.
yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
like, but that's a long time. And I'm like, I know. I was like, how many hours do you guys, your mom and your dad, do to get your Nintendo Switch together? Like they have like separate Nintendo
Yeah.
Switch, not just yours, but his.
Yes.
You know, it's like how many hours do you guys think your parents? And they're just like, I think it just didn't dawn on
It
him.
didn't register,
They
yeah.
just think like money is money.
Correct.
Like it's just like, oh, you just take it out of the bank. There was like a joke where like Gen Zs don't think real money is real.
Oh yeah.
There's like a TikTok thing of it
Yeah.
where they're just like, no, it's not really real money. It doesn't get taken out of your account. And it's just like, well, what do you guys think? That it's like it's just like a separate like magic. Like-
It reminds me of, you know, like somebody was saying this joke that kids these days, if they ask them, okay, where does apple come from? It comes from the store, not the tree. Right? And so,
Yeah.
like, they don't make that connection.
Yeah.
The same here. Yeah, same
You know, it's like my mom when I used to bug her for like money all the time. She's like, "What do you think money comes from? Like, it just grows on me?
on the trees.
On the
It grows on
trees?
trees.
Yeah.
No, it just grows on me." I was like, "Yeah, mom." Like, and then slipped the $20, and I'm like, got ice cream or something else for the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
No, because I tell my husband out too, just like, you know, when we're going to have kids, we're going to have to give them like, you know, we're just going to have to give them allowances and stuff because they're going to have to go with their friends and go to movies and stuff. I was like, what do you mean? I'm like, probably going to.
You're thinking way too high.
I know, but it's just like because I have nephews, right? So like when I see them and when we go out, because like I told them it's like this last time I was there, it's like, you know, like I spend 6 PS5 on this trip, and they were like, what do you mean? I'm like, I could have bought Uncle Ryan 6 PS5s this whole 3 weeks that I was out here, but instead I bought you guys food and trampoline events and
Yeah.
stuff, and they're like, that's a lot of money. I'm like, I know.
Yes.
Well,
I know, but I like you
yeah.
guys more. That's why I didn't buy Uncle Ryan a PS5 or 6 PS5. You know, so
And that all comes with like boundaries. I think like if parents don't set those boundaries as far as like budgeting, limit, and like what they can and cannot spend that money on,
yeah.
kids will be very reckless.
Oh no, it's just like I have to
You
teach.
have to
yeah.
teach the kids.
I have
Yeah.
to teach my kids to budget because like my husband is such a budget person.
Yeah.
Like I was like trying to like go to the Philippines this month. I could not. Like, I literally.
So this is the kicker, okay?
Okay.
Your child will get the best of you and your
And-
husband.
But also
But
the
also,
worst.
also exactly, exactly. Also the worst of both.
But it's always like that. It's like, you know, it's a
Yeah.
double-edged sword.
That's what I
And you gotta watch out too, aunties, uncles. You know,
Of
like
course.
it's also not just the double dip, right?
Yeah.
We got the triple dip,
Uh-huh.
and then when it goes to the grandparents, you got the quadruple
that's
dip.
like,
so
oh.
then it's over.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like a community because like, I know
Yeah.
for a fact that like my nephews and my godkids are like definitely spoiled when I'm like visiting in
Yes.
town because like
Yeah.
literally they would just be like, well, what are we doing today? I'm like, nothing. We are literally staying at home watching Miyazaki movies. I mean, I'm still gonna order pizzas and stuff, and they're like, yay! And I'm like, so it's not like completely free. I still spend money, you know. So I think it's just like I think it is definitely like interesting to like in a way. Like if my kid like stole my card, but I can refute it. I'll just be like,
Yeah.
and scare them a little
Knowing
bit. It's like
you-
you're gonna go to jail.
Knowing you, your kid is not going to steal. Like the values that you instill them, not going to happen.
Yeah.
No. My husband was telling me a story, and then he told me, she's like, I have to tell you this story because it's a story of like, Dad, you're gonna have to call mom. And it feels like that's gonna happen a lot.
That's going to happen. That is going to happen. Yes. After
So I'm just like, no, that makes sense. So, well,
Cool.
what do you guys think? Who is definitely the a-hole of the situation? It's definitely, I love this kind of drama.
Yes.
Because like, I just like look and peer at it, and I'm like, I'm not it's not affecting me at all.
Well,
You know, it's
yeah.
just
But we can
like,
also draw lessons from it, like we discussed.
Yeah,
right?
that
So
I
comes
think
back
it
to
is
what
like
you
I think
said.
it's also interesting how like you know some people how would they react because some people also think it's just like wait is this a Karen you know
That's
right because
true.
it's just like why is this Karen not letting I mean but then again like that is I mean I'm not gonna say I there are some shoes out there that are racking up some money I mean them below you know them
Balenciagas.
yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
I've seen shoes that's like in the 7-10 grand thing at like
Yeah.
at that freaking Dillard's, and I'm like, what are you doing here at Dillard's? You shouldn't be here. You're too expensive. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think it's definitely like interesting how like money definitely divides people in a way, right? Because if that's my kid, I'll be like, I will kill you. That's a lot of money. That's
With-
4 digits. That's grocery money. You know. So, but some people are just like, well, just call the credit card company, doesn't matter. But
I think it was a learning lesson for both of them. I'll just keep it like that.
I don't know. The girl ended up crying and leaving, but she still got her boots. But she
Yeah,
had
I
to use
mean,
her own card.
but she's
it
like,
depends on
was
what
it
she
worth
makes
it?
of it. It depends on what she
Yeah.
makes of it
She
afterwards.
cries at
so-
home, and I'm like,
No,
Dad, I had
it
to use my
depends,
card. Now you're
right?
gonna Venmo me, whatever the difference is. You know. So, but that's pretty much our show for today. We will see you guys next week.